What's up, YouTube? My name is Jason, and this is my take. I hope you guys are having a good week, and I got one more video for you guys before I take a little break, and we got to talk about my favorite and what I believe are the best albums of the year so far. And thinking back on the year, so far what we've gotten, I've personally been satisfied. A lot of great records, projects that I was heavily anticipating. And I'm not bad personally. I usually don't look at a year and say that was a bad year. Some are better than others, but 2022 has been good so far. So I want to discuss some projects. These are in different genres, in no particular order of what my favorite is or whatnot, and we'll kind of dive more into that. But yeah, you guys definitely drop your lists down in the comments below. Tell me if I'm tripping. Tell me what you think about my list. And we're just gonna dive right into it. I have about 20 albums on this list. First, I gotta start with the new Lupe Fiasco album, Drill Music in Zion. Now look, this project just dropped, like, it's probably a little over a week old. It just dropped, but this thing has been a heavy rotation for me. Lupe came through with yet another great conceptual piece, discussing life in Chicago, talking about capitalism, racism, a lot of different things, and he just has such a creative way of going about it, and his pen was as sharp as ever on this one. You guys definitely check that out if you haven't, and check out my review for it as well. Next on the list is the Weeknd album, Dawn FM. Abel comes through once again with the new pop record. Coming off a strong project like After Hours, I was curious as to what he was gonna do, and he topped it arguably. Very, very groovy synth pop records on here. I loved how Jim Carrey was sprinkled throughout the album to kind of go with the concept of, you know, this radio station and kind of the light at the end of the tunnel type thing. Like, I really enjoyed that piece. Great features from Wayne, Tyler the Creator. We had Quincy Jones, like, hop in for a second and speak. Heard a lot of Michael Jackson influences on some of these records. And Weeknd is somebody who has been talked about in comparison to Michael Jackson in terms of just talent vocally. And yeah, this pop version of the Weeknd, this lane that he's in, I'm a big fan of it. And I'm looking forward to seeing what else he does with it. Next is the new Noir album, Food for Thought. I reviewed this record at the top of the year. Noir is a underground rapper from Buffalo, and she was rapping on here, just rapping, and it's just something about Buffalo rappers, and we got a few more on this list that I have here. But on here, Shay is just dropping gems, just talking about, you know, life in Buffalo. She brought so many great features on this project, from Ransom. She had a whole ladies song with Love the Genius and Armani Caesar as well. Rome Streets pops up on here. This is a very hard-hitting, like, East Coast boom bap type album, and top to bottom, it was one of my favorite rap albums of this year so far, and you guys should definitely check it out. Next is the Musalini and Ninth Wonder with Don and I. I'm now a fan of the Musalini and him teaming up with my favorite producer in Ninth Wonder. It really was a match made in heaven. These slick, soulful samples that Ninth Wonder chopped and put together, and Musalini's very slick and smooth flow on here. It was like, you really couldn't get any better than this. Very much has like a pimp feel and theme to it, and I enjoyed and was a little entertained by some of the snippets of, like, the pimps talking about their hustle and different things. I thought it was really cool. But yeah, man, I'm definitely keeping my eye out for this guy, the Musalini, though. Really dope project. Next on the list is the new Saba album, A Few Good Things. One of my favorite albums of last decade was Care For Me, so this album right here I was highly anticipating, and Saba came through once again. I do prefer Care For Me. It's hard to top that album, honestly, but Saba came through with some very nice introspective music here. I feel like the opening track is one of the ones I come back to the most because it's just such a smooth, beautiful opening to an album that isn't very beautiful all the way through. And Saba reflecting on life and a very tough upbringing in Chicago from what he's seen in the streets, and things that he was trying to avoid and get away from, while also being proud and repping where he comes from. There's so many different feels on here, man. I love the hype upbeat song with G Herbo. And more introspective tracks on the back end, like 2012, or the outro with Black Thought. And to me, it just really like showed the versatility that Saba has as an artist. I think Care For Me did have more of a consistent sound and delivery from Saba, but this one really showed his range. And man, Saba is just one of those guys that's, you know, he's just been one of my favorite artists as of late. And so another amazing project. Next on the list is the new FKA Twigs album, CAPRISONGS. This felt like a little change in direction from her last album, Magdalene. This is a more upbeat electronic project, and yeah. Vocally, she takes it up a notch, man. Just so much range, just so much beauty in her voice. There's some smooth tracks on here, but there's some very like upbeat, poppy, like nice sounding beats. And I returned this thing quite a bit, especially the song Tears in the Club featuring The Weeknd. Such a great combo. They really brought it on that track. Yeah, I gotta, you know, listen to more of her music. Like Magdalene is a project that I enjoyed, but I don't return to as much. But like I really wanna hone in more on her music and see what she has going on, because this project right here was amazing. Next is the new Moonchild album, Starfruit. This was easily one of my favorite R&B albums this year from the Cali collective, Moonchild. This album is so soulful, it's so groovy. It just, listening to it all the way through is such a smooth experience. Amber Navran is the lead vocalist, does her thing once again, and you know, the instrumentalists, man, this whole group together, they are amazing. And I'm wondering why this is my first time listening to a full album by them, because I'm just mad that I've been missing out on what they've been doing before this. Next on the list is the collab project between eLZhi and Georgia and Muldrow with Zhigeist. Detroit rapper eLZhi teams up with producer Georgia and Muldrow, and what a collab this was. The production on here was so jazzy, so soulful, so just everything I needed. And eLZhi brought it. Some of his best lyricism, some of his best delivery that I've heard from his projects as I've started to get into them. And the song Pros or Cons, like I just keep coming back to it because just, not just the concept of it, but how he flowed in the lyrics, like how he put that together. Like you guys should definitely check it out. It seems like eLZhi drops like every year or two. I've been getting into him, but he keeps taking it up a notch, and I'm looking forward to what he does next. Next is the collab project between Khalifa, Big K.R.I.T, Smoke DZA, and producer Girl Talk with Full Court Press. I did not expect to be blown away by this project. I like all three of these artists, Wiz, Smoke DZA, K.R.I.T as well. But I didn't see this coming, and I honestly didn't know what to expect. But from top to bottom, this is an album that I return to quite a bit. The production on here to start, it was perfect for all three of these artists. As they fit on all the production here. Some of them were more hazy, smoker type bangers, and others were more trap influenced. And I loved everything I got on here, man. All three of these guys brought it in their own different way. Like nothing was compromised from either of the three. They all could like be who they were. They all could be comfortable and be fully who they are on all of these tracks. Next is the new redveil album, Learn to Swim. This is a very young guy, but he's improving year by year. And coming off of his last project, I was a huge fan. And on this one, he takes it up even more. The higher quality music and rapping with some more energy and some more hunger. Shoulders, Sky, those are some of my favorites. That track that had Fly Anakin on it was amazing. The production on here, I know he produces. I don't know if he produced this whole thing, but I know he produces and probably produced a lot on here. But man, this is a multi-talented rapper, and I wish more people were talking about him. I was fortunate enough to actually see him in concert. I went to Denzel Curry's concert here in Houston, and redveil was one of the openers, and he was definitely the standout opener for me. Loved his stage presence and his performance, man. So this guy has a lot ahead of him. I think he's only like 18, 19 years old. So you guys definitely check out this album if you haven't. And speaking of Denzel Curry, next album on my list is his album, Melt My Eyes, See Your Future. Like coming off of Taboo and Unlocked and Zoo, like I personally just thought I was gonna get what I've been getting before, which is just very thought-provoking, like deep music from Denzel Curry over varied production. And he topped all of that. This is probably his best album to date. And he dives into a lot of things. He gets real personal about his mental health and just his outlook on the world and just how dark and troubling these times are. And it's music like that that you can really appreciate, especially when it's relatable and you're kind of going through those same things with him. Got JPEG Mafia production on here, a T-Pain feature, Thundercat was on here, that opener track with Robert Glasper on the keys. Like, Denzel Curry like definitely like ventured out on the production side and just brought it lyrically as he always does. I can't forget to mention the track Ain't No Way with Jid, Rico Nasty, Black. Man, this top to bottom is one of the best rap albums of the year, and it's honestly contending for best rap album of the year for me, along with the next album on my list, and that being Conway the Machine with God Don't Make Mistakes. Just when I thought like I got the best from Conway, he tops it once again. And this album is very different from typical Griselda Conway type music that's much more laced with drug raps and gun bars, but Conway got very, very personal on here. Those who don't know, Conway got shot in the head like decades ago, and half of his face is paralyzed. And I love the final track on here. He dives into that even more and just reflecting on what life would have been like had that not happened to him, but also diving into his mental health as well. That's something I wasn't expecting from him, but you know, him just talking about like, hey, like I struggle too, even though I don't really talk about it, even though things might look good, making all this money, like, no, I'm struggling too. And I really appreciated that coming from him. Like, Griselda makes music that is very consistent and you know what you're gonna get, but when they venture off and do things like this, I'm definitely a fan of it. And Conway being as great of a lyricist as he is, he really put that together on here. And staying in the Griselda family, we got the new Benny the Butcher album, Tana Talk 4. It's a very highly anticipated album for me because Tana Talk 3 is like not just one of my favorite albums of last decade, it's arguably one of the best albums like just in general for me in the rap category. And while I wouldn't put this over Tana Talk 3, and I thought that this album was cool, it's really grown on me since I did that review. Everything was just hitting harder. Benny sounded hungrier and confident as ever. You get production from Alchemist and Derringer. Perfect two for him. And we get some of Benny's best songs to date. Of course, Johnny P's Caddy with J. Cole, Busta Brick Nick, Back as well with Stove God Cooks. Like, Benny really couldn't go wrong on this project. You know, this being his last project before he starts his campaign with Def Jam. I'm looking forward to what a signed Benny the Butcher does. Next, we got Lucky Daye with Candydrip, and in my video that I dropped, my review of this album, I said it was perfect, and that pretty much still stands. When you look at this album cover over here, like it tells you what you're gonna get into. This thing is sexy, it's sensual, and Lucky Daye, man, Lucky Daye. Like vocally how dominant Lucky Daye was on here. Cherry Force, when Apple Music drops its, you know, end of the year stats for me, Cherry Force is probably gonna be the top song on there. I play the song entirely too much. And that's how it is for so many songs on here, like Compassion, the title track, Candydrip, NWA as well with Lil Durk. There's just so much going on this thing. And I love every second of this album still. I still go back to it so much, and you guys definitely need to check it out if you haven't. Lucky Daye did his thing on here. Next is the new Rex Orange County album, Who Cares? Now, while I was a fan of his last album more than most people were, I'm glad that we can all kind of agree that this was a great project by Rex Orange County. You know, and him talking about things such as, you know, what COVID was like for him, as well as just isolation. I really enjoyed his introspection on here. And I really enjoyed the production on here. Open a Window with Tyler, the Creator, amazing. Worth It still is my favorite track on this album by far. Rex, like, he has like a youthful like energy to him, and I really felt that on his first album, but on this one, it felt a little more mature, and I really enjoyed it, man. He's a guy that I'm really glad that I discovered on Tyler, the Creator's Flower Boy, and I'm a fan that's here to stay and looking forward to what he does next. Of course, we got to talk about the new Pusha T album, It's Almost Dry. Pusha T's back once again with his coke raps, as lyrical as ever on here. You got production from Kanye, you got production from Pharrell, two collaborators that he's very familiar with and that know him very well, and they gave him great beats for this project. We get a Clips reunion on here, and Malice had the best verse on that song. Just So You Remember is so haunting, but yet sees Pusha delivering some of his best lyrics to date. Neck and Wrist with Jay-Z. Pusha T came through once again, and while I personally prefer Daytona over this album, I'll still have this one in heavy rotation. Next is the new Kehlani album, Blue Water Road. Kehlani has a much more serious tone on this project, and it's honestly their best. It was very interesting to kind of understand Blue Water Road and what it means to Kehlani in this album, and discussing things like heartbreak, toxic relationships, and infidelity. It was really interesting to see how that intertwined with Blue Water Road and what it means to Kehlani, and just the peacefulness that it provides even in tough times. And Kehlani seems like an artist that people are kind of like on two sides with. There's not a consensus with when it comes to Kehlani, but I'm just a big fan of what they're doing. And they just seem happy and confident and content with just how things are. Seems like they're in a new relationship too. And so I'm just happy for Kehlani, and this was her best album to date. Next is the new Logic album, Vinyl Days. Coming off a mediocre Bobby Tarantino 3 and out of retirement, Logic drops his final album on Def Jam, and it is arguably one of his best. This is Logic like in his element, his most comfortable, sampling for all 30 of the songs on here, with a very Madlib, Dilla, like inspired type of project. And while this is 30 songs, like it doesn't feel like a drag at all with the skits that are there, and some of the songs not even getting past the 2-minute mark. Logic is like ready to get off this label, and he's rapping and giving Def Jam a very good goodbye. So I don't know if Logic's gonna be fully independent or sign somewhere else, but and kind of learning what he went through, like this was quite a journey for him. And being a fan of Logic, despite some of the many disappointments that I feel like he's had, projects like this that show me that Logic as a rapper can't be questioned. Despite some of the things he's done, man, this guy brought it on this record. Next is the new Vince Staples album, Ramona Park Broke My Heart. Man, Vince Staples' music is like getting darker and darker as the years progress. And that's not something you expect from a personality like Vince Staples, but where he came from, his upbringing, and what he experienced, it is a lot. And he discusses that more following his self-titled project. I very much enjoyed the West Coast feel that this project had, with production from Mustard. He had the DJ Quick song that actually samples DJ Quick and kind of paying homage. Vince gets more personal. Like, the man made a whole song about talking about his gun and humanizing his gun, and just talking about Ramona Park and just how difficult it was, and gangs and violence and just all of that. And I think Vince said that this is kind of like his last album, kind of talking about that side of things and that lifestyle and everything. So I definitely enjoy this. This is kind of competing with his self-titled as the best project. I still don't know personally, but he came through once again. And finally, I can't forget the new Kendrick Lamar album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. 5 years, and I see why it took 5. Kendrick has gone through a lot. He's been going through something, if you will. And this was therapy. This was essentially Kendrick in therapy, just talking about everything from what he's gone through when it comes to infidelity, when it comes to COVID and his thoughts, his take on cancel culture, to being more educated about the LGBTQ community, to his toxic argument with Taylor Page on We Cry Together. Kendrick really laid it all out. Like, I wouldn't say this is my favorite Kendrick project, but it's his most in-depth project without question. Nothing is even on this level. And then I felt like a lot of people needed this. I felt like a lot of people took something from this, just in terms of being open and vulnerable and just, releasing so much. As in doing that, it can be therapeutic, and it's gotten Kendrick to a place where he's much more clear-minded and isn't afraid to just talk about things. Guys, thanks for sticking around. These have been my best albums of 2022 so far, and we still got a lot more coming. Brent Fayez is dropping. Beyonce is coming with the whole pop album. So it's gonna be an interesting rest of the year. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another video on Jason's Take. I'm actually gonna be taking a little break, anywhere from like 3 weeks to a month. We'll see. I'll probably come back right around when Beyonce drops to drop that review, but just taking a little time to myself. Just want to say thank you guys so much. I'm almost at 100 subscribers. I've been going strong. I've been trying to be consistent and put these videos out, and you guys give me some really good feedback and you engage with me. So just much thanks to you guys for supporting the channel. And about a month or so, I'll be back with more videos. And so please like and subscribe to the channel. I'm Jason. This has been my take. I'll see you guys next time.